Jörmungandr, the serpent that made the ocean its cage, so massive it wrapped around the entire world and bit its own tail. Not because it was hungry, because there was nowhere else to go. Born from Loki's bloodline and thrown into the sea by Odin, who thought distance would solve the problem. It didn't. The serpent grew, and grew, until the waves themselves became its breathing. Norse sailors said when it shifted in sleep, tsunamis were born. When it finally lets go of its tail, Ragnarok begins. The sky cracks, the gods fall. Thor faces it with lightning in his fists and fury in his blood. He kills the serpent, takes 9 steps, dies. That's not tragedy, that's balance. The world-serpent didn't want to end everything. It just got too big for the cage they built. Because some things grow until they break what holds them. And when the serpent's coils finally loosen, another guardian tightens its watch. Ladon, the dragon that never blinked, coiled around a tree in the Garden of the Hesperides, guarding golden apples that granted immortality. 100 heads, 1,000 eyes, none of them ever closed. The Greeks didn't make him evil, they made him loyal. Hera placed him there not as punishment, but as perfection. A creature incapable of distraction, temptation, or mercy. Heroes came, heroes died, their bones fertilized the roots. Heracles finally killed him, but even the greatest strength is just theft with a legend attached. Ladon wasn't a monster, he was devotion made flesh. A reminder that some treasures aren't meant to be taken. They're meant to teach you why you can't have them. And when eternal guardians fall, chaos doesn't wait. It erupts. Typhon, the storm that had a face. So tall his head scraped the stars. So wide his wings eclipsed the sun. The Greeks called him the father of all monsters, and they weren't exaggerating. Every nightmare that followed came from his blood. Born from Gaia's rage after the Titans fell, Typhon wasn't just powerful. He was vengeance with a pulse. Fire poured from his mouths. Hurricanes followed his roar. When he marched on Olympus, the gods ran. All of them. Even Zeus hesitated. Their final battle shattered mountains and boiled seas. Zeus won, barely, and buried Typhon under Mount Etna. But burial isn't death. Every volcanic eruption is just the storm remembering it still has lungs. Typhon represents the chaos that civilization pretends it conquered. He's still down there, still breathing. Because nature doesn't lose, it waits. And from that trapped storm, another beast learned to multiply. Hydra, the problem that got worse when you tried to fix it. Cut off one head, 2 grew back. Simple math, terrifying biology. It lived in the swamps of Lerna, poisoning water and hope in equal measure. Heracles faced it as his second labor, swinging his sword like confidence could solve everything. It couldn't. Every strike doubled his enemies. Every victory made defeat more certain, until his nephew brought fire, cauterize the wound, stop the growth, kill the pattern. But even then, the middle head was immortal. So Heracles buried it under a boulder, because some problems can't be solved, only contained. The Hydra wasn't about the monster. It was about the method. Brute force feeds what it's trying to kill. Sometimes the answer isn't strength. It's knowing when to stop swinging. And while Greece learned to burn its wounds, Japan learned to drown its demons in sacrifice. Yamata no Orochi, the serpent with 8 heads and 1 family's extinction. An elderly couple in Izumo had 8 daughters. Every year the serpent came. Every year it took 1. 7 years, 7 funerals, 7 graves where laughter used to live. Now only 1 daughter remained, and the parents wept because they knew the math. 8 heads, 8 valleys, eyes like blood moons, a body that stretched across mountains. The storm god Susanoo arrived and saw their despair. He didn't fight it directly. He built 8 gates, filled 8 barrels with rice wine, let the dragon drink itself stupid. When all 8 heads collapsed in drunken sleep, he struck. Inside its tail, he found a sword, Kusanagi, the blade that would cut imperial destiny. He married the daughter he saved, turned grief into dynasty. Orochi wasn't defeated by strength. It was defeated by understanding that even monsters have appetites, that patience outlasts rage, that sometimes the sharpest weapon is knowing what your enemy craves. And when the serpent's blood soaked into Japanese soil across the ocean, feathers replaced scales. Quetzalcoatl, the dragon that taught before it ruled. Feathered serpent, god of wind and wisdom, creator who gave humanity corn, calendars, and the dangerous idea that knowledge could make you divine. The Aztecs didn't fear him, they revered him. But reverence is complicated when your god demands blood to keep the sun moving. Quetzalcoatl opposed human sacrifice, lost the political battle, left, sailed east on a raft of serpents, promising he'd return. Centuries later, when Spanish ships arrived from the east, some wondered if ancient prophecy had found its way home through coincidence and fear. It hadn't. It was just tragedy wearing the mask of destiny. Quetzalcoatl represents the danger of myths that outlive their gods. Stories that become weapons in hands that never held them before. Not because he was evil, because hope shaped like a prophecy is a blade anyone can wield. And when the feathered god vanished into the horizon, beneath the world tree, something gnawed at the roots. Níðhöggr, the dragon that eats the dead and dreams of eating everything else. Coiled at the base of Yggdrasil, the world tree, chewing through corpses and roots in equal measure. The Norse didn't hide him away. They put him at the foundation. Because every cosmology needs something trying to tear it down. Above him, an eagle perched in the highest branches. Between them, a squirrel named Ratatosk ran insults back and forth. Eternal enemies connected by a messenger with a cruel sense of humor. When Ragnarok comes, Níðhöggr will finally break free, flying over battlefields, wings heavy with the weight of the dishonored dead. He's not evil, he's entropy, the promise that everything built will eventually be unmade, not through malice, through time. Because the tree grows, but the roots rot, and something is always hungry at the bottom. And when the roots finally snap, the rivers remember who really ruled them. Dragon King, the emperor of every wave. In Chinese mythology, 4 dragon kings controlled the seas, but Guang of the east was the one legends bent toward. He lived in a crystal palace beneath the ocean, commanding tides, storms, and rainfall. Mortals prayed to him for rain. Farmers built temples to his mercy, but mercy was conditional. Disrespect him, the drought would break you. Honor him, the harvests would bow in gold. When Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, stormed his palace looking for a weapon, the Dragon King offered everything. It wasn't enough. The monkey took Ruyi Jingu Bang, the pillar that held back the sea, because even gods can't stop someone willing to risk everything. The Dragon King represents power that demands respect but can't stop rebellion. Authority that lives underwater, hoping no one realizes they can hold their breath long enough to take the throne. In the end, it's not the dragon you should fear. It's the realization that every throne is just borrowed time. The Giant Squid, the ocean's reminder that we still don't know what's down there. If you made it this far, hit subscribe, drop a like, ring the bell, and tell me which dragon you think could actually end the world.